Hi everyone, my name's Jen. I'm new to YouTube and I have decided to have bariatric surgery and I decided to share it with the rest of the world, I guess. I don't know. I thought it would be helpful for people who are thinking about it, who are thinking about, oh, well, maybe that's something that I should do. I don't know enough about it. So I'm going to document my whole journey, more or less. I mean, my surgery has not happened yet. It is in May 18th, 16th, 18th. It's in May. It's in May. So we're about a month out, and I figured I would share with everyone what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, and the ups, the downs, everything like that. I think it would be nice to have one person's perspective on how everything goes. So I am going to make a series of videos about it. This first video is mainly going to be about just the different procedures that are available for people who are looking into bariatric surgery. I am going to talk about three. The three that I'm going to talk about are lap band, the sleeve gastrectomy, and gastric bypass. Those are the three most popular. Popular is not really the correct term. I think they're. How about they're the most frequently performed procedures, because they're the ones that are the safest, that have the best results, and that have helped a lot of people in their long-term weight loss goals. So I will be talking about those today, and in future videos that I make, I'll be talking more about my personal reasons for getting this procedure done, and how certain things in my life have gotten me to this point now where I am. So without further ado, let's talk about some procedures, shall we? Okay, so the first one is lap band. Lap band is a reversible procedure. It's also what's known as a restrictive procedure. There are restrictive procedures and malabsorptive procedures. Restrictive procedures solely just restrict the amount of food that's in your stomach. They make you feel fuller without having to eat as much food. So you don't eat, you don't have the same calorie intake, so you lose weight that way. Malabsorptive procedures are procedures where they change the way that the body absorbs and digests, so the body doesn't absorb as many calories, and you lose weight that way. Anyway, back to the first one that I'm going to be talking about, which is lap band. Lap band is restrictive, so it solely just limits the amount of food that you're allowed to hold in your stomach. And what it does is it's an adjustable band that the surgeon inserts on the patient, around the top of the patient's stomach, and it allows a little bit of food to fill up that pouch, and then you feel full, so you stop eating. Then the food, as it breaks down a little bit, it drops down through the hole that's left by the band, and then digests normally. One of the benefits of this procedure is that there's no actual cutting or rerouting of any of the organs. It's solely just the band itself. So that is a pretty attractive aspect of that procedure. However, it has, unfortunately, the highest rate of complications, and the highest rate of resurgery due to complication, because you are leaving a foreign object inside of your body, and that doesn't always go over so well with your body. Doesn't always like that. So that's just something to take into consideration. The way it works is that the band itself fills up with saline solution, and the doctor will either add or take out saline solution as needed for the patient. The other thing that I would find personally tedious is that if you do have the lap band procedure, you will be expected to go into the into the doctor to get all of this done 4 to 6 weeks for the first year. So every 4 to 6 weeks, you are going into the doctor for the first year and getting this stuff done. The way that they add the saline solution is there's a port that's inserted underneath your skin that's attached to a tube that's attached to the band, and that's how they get the saline solution in and out. The excess body weight that's lost is about 40 to 50% within the first 2 years. And that's pretty good. That's not bad. But the next two that I'm going to describe are, you'll see a little bit more impressive results a little bit faster if you stick to the whole plan. Now, the other thing with lap band that's kind of a drawback is it is reversible, which is a good thing, but the drawback part is people who have had it taken out, if they have not committed themselves to changing their lifestyles and changing their eating habits, they gain weight back extremely quickly. So that's all something that you need to, weigh out and see if that's the one you want. Anyway, moving on. Next one we're going to talk about is the laparoscopic vertical sleeve gastrectomy. It's also just known as the sleeve gastrectomy. That is the one that I'm getting personally. And what happens with that is they cut off about 80% of the stomach. So it leaves you with this tube-like stomach, tubular stomach, and it holds 3 to 4 ounces of food at a time, food or drink at a time, and it yields an excess weight loss of 50 to 70%, 55 to 70% in the first year. So that's how much you would expect to lose within the first year, as opposed to lap band, which is 40 to 50% in the first 2 years. So it's it also has the lowest rate of complications of the 3 surgeries because there's only one area that they cut, and that is where the staples are in the stomach. Everything else stays attached and intact and everything. It is irreversible. Once you get this procedure, you can't get it undone. It's done. That's it. So you've really got to be dedicated to your weight loss goals and your health goals in order to get this procedure. Well, I'll go more into some of the things that are required of you with the sleeve gastrectomy after I explain what the gastric bypass is. Gastric bypass is far and away the most commonly known procedure. It's the one that is associated with bariatric surgery, is gastric bypass. It's also known as Roux-en-Y. And what it does is they cut out a little pouch of your existing stomach and then staple the rest of it. And they connect the small intestine directly to that pouch. So the food directly goes from the pouch into the small intestine. And then the rest of the stomach and the duodenum and the jejunum, which are the early parts of the small intestine, are still creating all of those digestive juices that you need. So they connect that part down a little further along the small intestine. So what that does is it adds the juices a little bit later in the digestive process. Now, gastric bypass is considered a combination procedure, which means that it's a combination of restrictive and malabsorptive. So some of the issues that you'll see if you do get this is that you're going to have to take some supplements, because people often with this procedure encounter iron deficiency and calcium deficiency, and they also can have even experienced anemia related to malabsorption of B12. So it's really important to make sure that your body is getting the nutrients that it needs. Now, bariatric surgery, come on. Gastric bypass is the one that yields the most dramatic weight loss within the first year. You're going to lose 70 to 85% on average, 70 to 85% of excess body weight within the first year. And that is wonderful. However, gastric bypass is a little bit more restrictive than sleeve gastrectomy on the types of foods that you can eat. If you have, if you eat very high calorie foods, you can experience what's called gastric dumping, which is where the high calorie foods move way too fast through the whole digestive tract, and what results is nausea, diarrhea, vomiting, all of those lovely things that everyone likes to experience, right? Right. So, I mean, I know people who have had gastric bypass and they've had a wonderful experience. I mean, you know, relatively, like their result has been very, very good. And the long-term information that's available on gastric bypass is readily available, and there's a lot of it. But for sleeve gastrectomy is a more relatively new procedure, so there's not as much information available for the long term. However, more and more surgeons are performing it, and people are having wonderful results from it. Now, I will go a little bit more into what I have found out about bariatric surgery in general and the sleeve gastrectomy in particular. For any of the surgeries, you can, after you have surgery, you are no longer allowed to drink any type of carbonated beverage. Ever. For the rest of your life. That includes beer, champagne, soda, club soda, fizzy water, all of it. Can't have it. And the reason being is that, you know, the whole point is to make your stomach a little smaller and help you that way. But if you have carbonation in there, that stretches the stomach. It works against you, basically. It's also extremely uncomfortable, from what I hear, after you have the surgery, to try to drink some sort of carbonated beverage. So just know that you're not going to be able to drink those anymore. Another thing is no caffeine, at least for the first few months of healing. You can't have any caffeine because it's an irritant, and you don't want to irritate an already irritated stomach. That's not a good idea. You also, if you're a smoker, you have to quit smoking at least 8 weeks out before surgery. That has to do more with vascular things, blood and whatnot. You won't want to eat a lot of sweets after you have surgery either, because it can irritate your stomach. Now, all of this might sound like, oh man, that sucks, I don't want to have to do that, I like eating all of these things. Well, that's the point. These are not easy fixes. They're not a magic wand that you can wave and all of a sudden you're skinny. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. You have to commit yourself to changing the way that you think about food, the way that you relate to food, the way that you eat food. You have to change everything. It is a very big decision that cannot be taken lightly. It's meant to change your life, and that's what it does. And you have to start making those changes before you have surgery, because if you don't, you're not going to be in the mindset that you need to be. Eating and overeating, if you have some sort of, if you have binge eating disorder, or if you have a food addiction, this surgery is only a tool that will help you get to where you need to be. It's not a fix-all. If you decide to go through insurance, which insurance will cover it, generally speaking, at least some of it, provided that you have a comorbidity, meaning that obesity is not your only diagnosis. If you have diabetes, if you have sleep apnea, if you have some other thing, then they will cover it. But anyway, with insurance, they do require you to have a psychological evaluation. and the therapist will evaluate you on several key points. And what they say goes. If they don't think that you're a good candidate for it because you have unrealistic expectations of what the surgery is going to do for you, then they won't okay the surgery. Now, you can pay out of pocket for these surgeries, but they'll cost you upwards of $15,000. And I can't stress enough that it's very important for you, if you're considering having a surgery like this, it's extremely important for you to be in the correct mental space, because if you lose the weight, but you haven't learned how to love yourself for who you are, you're still not going to like what you see in the mirror. So it's very important to get the psychological support that you need from the right people, and lots of places who perform these procedures, as long as they're reputable, they have support groups, they have dietitians and nutritionists that will help you every step of the way, and they will make sure that you have the best possible chance and the best possible experience that you can with this. So there you go. That's all the information I'm going to give you today. If you have any questions or comments or anything for me, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I don't know what my next video will be about, but maybe it will be a little bit more personal. Maybe I'll help you get to know me a little more, but at least now you have some stuff to think about. I will provide links in the description below of some really good websites that really explain everything that there is that you need to know. If you want to do some more research, I will also put in some links of ways to find some really reputable surgeons in your area, wherever you happen to be. So I hope you have a wonderful day, evening, night, morning, whatever time you're seeing this video. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Bye!